Part of the Nazi Germany story that we need to learn from is the beginning. Right after World War I, when Germany was in ruins, when the Kaiser was out, and they became a constitutional democratic republic for the first time. And then by 1932, there were three major political blocs. There were the Nazis, around 37%, the communists, around 15 to 17%, and the rest were fragmented moderates. Pro-labor social democrats, they were considered moderate, Catholic conservatives, business-aligned liberals. Together, the moderates and the actual left were over 60% of the country, a clear majority, but they refused to unite. Why? Because after they'd kicked the Kaiser out and people went on strike, demanding economic justice, the moderate democratic government, instead of forming a coalition with the protesters, called in far-right paramilitaries to beat the protesters and get people killed. And that betrayal fractured the majority. By the 1930s, the moderates were clinging to order and legality. They were rejecting general strikes, mass actions with the left. Many backed a more conservative president, a guy called Paul von Hindenburg, who appointed Hitler as chancellor, thinking they could find a middle ground, they could work together. Of course, the Nazis used the legal system to dismantle it from within, and months later had banned all opposition. Had the moderates united with the communists, the socialists, the unions, around basic human and economic rights, they would have stopped fascism, but they were afraid. They were afraid of losing their status and their positions, angering the corporate powers. And so they lost everything. And the consequences were catastrophic. We cannot comprehend the 70, maybe 85 million people who died. And history marks our shame, the shame of the intellectual class, with a poem by a pastor who said, "First they came for the communists and I did not speak out because I was not a communist. And then they came for the socialists and I did not speak out. And then they came for the trade unionists and I did not speak out. And then they came for the Jews and I did not speak out. And then they came for me. And there was no one left to speak out for me." The rise of the MAGA movement is an even greater threat. The surveillance state, the militarized secret police, bounty hunters with endless budgets, the scope of the propaganda apparatus, and the near total merging of state power with corporations, all at a far greater level than the 40s or the 30s. The global economy is more interdependent, and we are in the throes of a climate crisis we're totally unprepared for, and that MAGA is actively accelerating. And the West is not only ignoring the ongoing Holocaust in Palestine, but continuing to finance it, arm it, and violently suppress all opposition. The lesson is that we must unite around economic justice and universal human rights now, or there may not be another chance.